if anyone is a board games designer and would like to get in touch to develop the new Guess Who for Grapple Worlds, drop us a line. We have a contender for Guess Who, Mike Clark.
Hello.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm very well, Lou. How are you?
I'm good. You're up against Dom Ilbury, who has just been on the show, and you're fighting in you're matched up with the 90 kilos.
Yes.
And you're both baldy, beardy guys.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be chatting with you again.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to matching up with Dom. It's I think, as he mentioned, a bit of a funny story. When we got matched up, I reached out to him, as I tend to do with most people when I get matched up, just say, like, looking forward to it. You know, I don't really like the animosity side of things. I like to try and be one of the nicer guys. And he said, oh, fantastic. Yeah, it'd be great. We had, I've really enjoyed our war at Blue Belt. And I only had one match at Blue Belt, and it wasn't with Dom. So we had a bit of a back and forth, like, what you want about. Turns out there is another 90 kilo Mike Clark on the circuit who also happens to be bald, also happens to have a beard. So yeah, we had a little bit of a back and forth, and then got to meet said Mike Clark at the British Open last year, and it was a bit like the Spider-Man meme where we stood opposite each other and giving it one of them to one another. So yeah, a little bit of a funny one.
I love it. I love it. Maybe one day Mike Clark and Mike Clark with an E will be matched up. But until then, you're fighting out of the blue corner against Dom Ilbury for Grapple Worlds 2 on Saturday, the 28th of March, up at Kassam Stadium. Now, last year, I met you for the first time at Grapple Worlds 1. I was quite embarrassed because I didn't know who you were, but you had a kind smile. You were very approachable. And, I asked you what was kind of going on. And because I didn't know whether you had a match or whether you were a supporter, spectator. But talk us through your Grapple Worlds 1 match.
Oh, God. So Grapple Worlds 1, I was matched up against a wonderful guy, Ian Lunny, one of the nice guys on the circuit. He's very open about the fact he's a leg locker. At the time, leg lock was not necessarily a strong suit in my game. It's something that I've worked on extensively since. We had a good back and forth for about 4.5 minutes. Mainly him attacking. I got a couple of pieces off, but it ultimately ended up with me blowing out my right knee, where I was a little bit too stubborn, didn't tap to some of the attacks. Verbal submission. I posted on my right leg, and my LCL decided to exit the conversation, so to speak. So yeah, but no, that only. But I'm not taking away from Ian. That only happens because of the amount of work that Ian put in on my leg on that day. You know, if he hadn't been doing what he was doing, I'm sure I could have walked away, or maybe got to the decision. But it is what it is. It was a learning curve for me on the day.
That's nice. I was at a jiu-jitsu camp over the weekend, and there was one of the black belts that was coaching, Tanya. I will name drop T and NOGI. Go and follow her on Instagram. And she was coaching mindset, very much around seeing the good in what your opponent is doing, rather than kind of give yourself a hard time with regards to what you think you might have done wrong. It's just what your opponent has done better than you. Absolutely. And it sounds like you have really learnt, or taken the opportunity to learn from what Ian did really, really well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think competition is great for exposing where you have weakness. And I think the longer you do it and the more you do it, you become humble to it, and you have to accept it. If you're going to stick around in jiu-jitsu, you have to know where you're weak. And I think competition is the best mirror for that. And Ian was the first person to show me last year. I subsequently had another match later on in the year against a younger guy called Conor Merrick. Again, lost by a footlock to him. And I've spent the last 6 to 8 months literally putting myself in the fire and figuring out where I'm weak and where I'm not. And I feel a lot more competent now because of it. And that only happens because of those learning moments.
Yeah, nice. Now, talk us through some of the leg lock development that you've gone through over the last kind of, 6-9 months.
It's quite simple. So there's a group of us that meet up on a Tuesday and a Thursday. I think I referenced it when I was on your podcast itself. Just call ourselves the Average Joes. We don't profess to be anything special, but we've all got one collective sort of goal, and that's just to get better. And the only way you get better is putting yourself in positions where you're not so good. And we will sit there for an hour, 2 hours, just give each other our feet, work our way out of entanglements, think to ourselves, somebody catches us, we'll pause and go, what did you do? Or what did I do that allowed you to do this? And subsequently, it's just my game has, I feel it myself, and the feedback within the gym certainly has been, yeah, it's working. So I'm excited to get back out there and kind of see whether I can translate the what I'm doing in the gym to the competition mat, if that makes sense.
Nice.
So
no, I think a number of us are starting to experience these kind of Average Joes or Average Janes groups where we're getting together, we are trying to problem solve a thing outside of classes, outside of open mats, and collectively just getting better. And it's really fantastic to see all of these kind of subgroups, whether they're spoken about or not, they are happening.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's the evolution of jiu-jitsu that, you know, whilst we're still learning from very experienced coaches, we're able to take that away and do our revision. It's like GCSEs or A-levels. We're doing the study, but actually work that gets us to our own place happens outside of that.
Absolutely. It's you can only be taught so much in an hour or 2 hour class, and I've realized over the years, I've been around now a long time, shall we say, in jiu-jitsu, or one of the longest standing members, and you have to take responsibility for your own learning. You can't expect to just turn up 2-3 times a week to class and make your way from the beginning to the end. Not that there is an end, if that makes sense. You have to put your hand up, admit where you're weak, and do something about it if you truly want to progress.
Yeah, I think there's so much that can be learned from this strategy of kind of life learning. You know, lots of areas that I'm not very good at making notes, and being a blue belt myself, I am, you know, I've heard from lots of higher belts, and, you know, they make notes, and I see guys and girls making notes after sessions, and I just feel like it's not my way of learning. But the putting into action and, you know, being able to demonstrate, kind of work through, because that muscle memory of doing the thing is just so valuable for some of us that learn in that way.
Absolutely. I think not everyone, and I think we've talked about this before, you and I, not everybody learns the same way. I've got friends, there's a guy, Harbeer, for instance, one of the guys in the gym, blue belt, wonderful guy. He's really big on instructionals and watching YouTube videos, and there is some value to that for me, but it's not, I'm a tactile learner. I have to get in, I have to feel the position. I can watch and get an idea, but unless I'm there and I'm doing it, I can't, it doesn't sit in my brain. But there's no right or wrong way. There's no one way to learn. Otherwise all of us would be black belts and all of us would be world champions. We have to find our lane, and we have to find our learning style. And when you do, just you stick to it, you know?
Yeah. Okay, what's coming up for me? You know, when you find, I don't know whether you guys have this as well, but from my perspective, when I find a nice cut of a top or a nice cut of jeans, I will just keep buying that style of garment. And it's just rinsing and repeating, because we know it feels good, we know it looks good, and makes us feel a certain way. But finding that style of learning, I wasn't expecting this conversation to be so in depth and mindful, Mike. Thank you.
You're welcome. But no, I'd rather not. I think you've got to know a little bit about a lot in jiu-jitsu. I heard something John Danaher said recently, is that jiu-jitsu, you have to know a lot about a little about a lot, even to, you know, to be able to recognize when you're in danger. And then you have to know a lot about a little to truly be a specialist in what you do. So it's spreading that knowledge across the base. And jiu-jitsu is so expansive, as you know yourself. It's like you're never going to complete this. You're always going to be learning. So
yeah. That's the draw of it all, really, isn't it? That's the exciting bit. This is the Grapple Worlds podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. The sponsors of Grapple Worlds 2 are Zebra, Soul Taker Fightwear, Grapple App, Pure Recharge, 10th Planet Banbury, and 10th Planet Milton Keynes. Go and follow them all. The links are in the show notes. And as always, check out the clips on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And go over and buy your tickets at grappleworlds.com. Tickets are available on Eventbrite for Saturday, the 28th of March, 2026 at Kassam Stadium in Oxford. Today, I'm having a conversation with the Mike Clark. Mike, kind of going back to the Guess Who concept. Yes. You're fighting out of the blue corner. Dominic's fighting out of the red corner. I do really feel like Grapple Worlds has an opportunity to develop a board game.
I think so too. Looking at some of the matchups on there appears to be, and certainly within my gym, there's a proliferation of bald guys within jiu-jitsu. I don't know why, but it just seems to be, if you're a bald guy, you tend to gravitate towards jiu-jitsu. So yeah, I think there's something there for sure. I think Gavin, Nathan, Ed, and the boys over there are missing a trick potentially.
Okay, we all need to be different, but talking about other guys on the lineup and other girls, who else do you know on Grapple Worlds 2, Mike?
Oh God, there's so many, as we were saying before. I think there's Savo from 50/50 fighting out of Asim's gym, Joe DeCourtin. I'm familiar with quite a lot of the lineup on there. You got Shane Curtis, Justin Moore, Jimmy Wheeler. You've got Zoe Lundy, who's in the quintet, the female main event as well. He's a teammate of yours as well, I believe, Zoe.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I feel very privileged to be on a card with some of the names that are on there, because I don't profess to be the best. I do this not because I think I'm going to go off to Worlds and be a world champion. I do this just because I love it, you know. But there's guys on there who are doing this as their profession. This is their thing. This is what they want to do, and this is their life. Me, I'm just a hobbyist who just happens to be sharing a card with some of the best guys in the UK, and that's quite a nice thing to be able to say.
Yeah, it is quite incredible. Like you say, you know, we have very high level athletes and, you know, contenders for ADCC, contenders for Worlds and Europeans and all of those very big competitions. But events like Grapple Worlds and other invitationals and promotions really do give everyone the opportunity. Obviously, you know, there has to be a certain criteria. It's also about, you know, getting your friends and family and people you know to come along and support you. Do you have a crowd of people coming with you?
There's a few of us that are going to be coming up. I'd imagine there'll be 7, 8, 9, 10 of us coming up from the gym. It really depends on the day, but yeah, there's a few that are going to be coming along to this one. It's for us, it's not too far from obviously our gym, Marlow, up to Oxford. It's a 45-minute drive, so it's one of the more local ones on the circuit. So, but I appreciate whether it's going to be one person or whether it's 10 people. You know, it's the support's lovely regardless.
Yeah. And obviously, what's the format? Because you obviously took part in Grapple Worlds 1. You were backstage before your match. And then did you come out and watch everybody else after your match?
Yeah, I stayed around.
Did you get rushed to the hospital?
No. I didn't even bother going to the hospital, to be honest. I didn't even have a scan afterwards. I've blown my knee so many times I recognised what it was. But yeah, it was nice. It's a good venue. There's a nice warm-up area behind. They bring you out just for kind of behind one of the kitchens, I think it was, into the main sort of banquet area where we're competing. But yeah, it was lovely to be able to stick around and watch the matches afterwards. And there was some amazing jiu-jitsu on the card, both before me and after me. You know, and I think this card, from what I've seen and the way the boys are stacking it, I think is going to be even bigger and better than the last one. So
yeah. I get that feeling too, that there's a real sense of entertainment as well. I've previously mentioned, obviously we saw Gavin in his sparkly jacket.
What a man.
I think he's going to come out with even more this time. Just having the charisma and the kind of, you know, geeing everyone up. It really is a fantastic event. Okay. Dominic, your opponent, spoke about the difference between competition and super fights,
Mhm.
and he really enjoys the music and the kind of, I want to say camaraderie, but the essence and the fact that it's just one person that
Yep.
you're focusing on,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's kind of an exciting thing, and
Mhm.
that for him makes it feel incredibly special. But I know you have a view on this, so let's
Yeah.
talk about the illusion of
Yeah. It's
competition and super fights.
I've grown up competing in everything I've ever done. Like, I started competing in various things from the age of 4. I've ran national athletics. I played semi-pro football. I played rugby, powerlifting, and so I'm able to kind of see through the pomp and pageantry of it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether it's, you can have the the smoke and the music and everything, but at the end of the day, that's not for me. That's for the people that are there that are watching it. It's, I'm there at the end of the day to compete. That's
Yeah,
it. So it doesn't matter whether we're going out there and there's one person there, or whether it's a bracketed tournament, or whether it's a super fight in inverted commas. I'm still just going to be doing jiu-jitsu. You guys happen to be there watching. That, you know,
yeah,
that's really the end of it for me. It's, again, reference John Danaher. He talks about, there's a great video, and I recommend people who are struggling with competition, the parable of the plank, and I won't go into it now, but it's just about being able to see through the pomp of the pageantry, because at the end of the day, it is just, you know, you're just doing jiu-jitsu with a different person in a different venue.
yeah,
So the biggest difference for me is the style of competition. A bracketed competition, you have to be a little bit more cautious with your pacing. You
yeah.
potentially have in 3, 4, 5, however many matches.
More.
Yeah, exactly. Depending on how big the brackets are, of course. But then a super fight, whether it be 6, 8, 10 minutes,
Yeah,
you of course have to pace, but it's essentially a sprint. You can go out there and you can just
yeah.
go, and that's what I do. That's the bit that I do actually enjoy about the single super fight element, is that you can just slap and bump, and you know that it's a one-time deal, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm slightly struggling to adopt your very kind of categorical, logical mindset with this, but I'm open to learning.
Hmm.
Now, the music for me does kind of, you know, I've been at open mats, I've been at kind of seminars where there's been music playing, and there's certain
Hmm.
tracks that come on, and it just really fires you up, and
Hmm.
you know, you go ham and or whatever it is, and you're just
Yeah.
going for it. Um, but how do you detach? This is going to be quite an interesting conversation. How do you
No, cool.
detach the outside world and the external factors from the core of what you're there to do?
And I've done this even before jiu-jitsu, as I say, with other competitions. I'm a big believer in visualization, and it might sound cheesy, it might sound corny, but we've all sat there and felt nerves before a match or competition or whatever it may be coming up. But
Yeah,
you can sit there and you can kind of visualize, okay, well, I know there's going to be people watching. How am I going to feel in that moment? And you can start to process those emotions as they come up.
yeah,
So, and you can go through it step by step. What does the warm-up feel like? What do I feel like as I'm walking out? What do I feel like in that first exchange?
mm,
And just through that, again, maybe a bit cheesy for some, but it works for me, that visualization process, those emotions as they start to come up in the match environment, you're already accustomed to them because you spent time there prior to the day, if that makes sense. So,
yeah.
no, it's a big
I
thing.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. But I guess, do you have any kind of techniques that someone approaching a
Mhm.
jiu-jitsu competition or taking part in a seminar or taking part in a super fight can adopt to detach the outside world
Mhm.
from their core focus, especially if someone hasn't ever done a super fight before?
Not necessarily techniques, but things that I may use is, like, if I do find myself getting heightened before a match, and yeah, of course we all get nerves, and nerves are a very, very healthy thing. I don't say
Yeah,
otherwise. Is being able to control your breath, looking at breath work, and being able to regulate your breath, catch your breath, bring your heart rate back down. Because,
yeah,
and again, every different strokes for different folks. I know some people do like to get amped up before a match, but for me personally, I like to go in with my heart rate at 60, 70, 80 beats per minute and work my way up. I don't want to go in already
yeah,
at a heightened state, because I'm going to be blowing out my arse, if you excuse my language, so to speak.
yeah,
So the biggest thing for me, if I am breath work. And the other thing as well, and I've heard other competitors say this, is getting a really, really good warm-up in, getting into the warm-up room, breaking a sweat, getting the nervous energy out. It's something when I fought MMA that my coach at the time was very big on. We used to do 3 5-minute rounds or 3 3-minute rounds on the pads, get your heart rate at anaerobic, get the sweat on, and then have enough time to recover before you went out and did your business. And it was always, you turn up on the venue and think, oh my God, I'm feeling heavy, I can't do this. And then you get that big sweat on, and all of a sudden you feel revitalized, you feel like a new person. So 2 big things for me: breath work if you feel yourself getting heightened, and the other thing is making sure you have a really, really good warm-up. So
nice. I would agree with the warm-up. My coach Lee puts me through a kind of hard round before, or not hard round, but pressure and just a struggle before my matches. I have other issues like, feeling dehydrated and all the rest of it. Not that I've done any like dehydration before, but just the whole adrenaline is a massive thing. And I know other athletes and competitors have spoken about that before.
I think as well is repetitions. It's the same as learning. A competition or competing is a skill in and of itself even. And if you want to compete, I say this to everybody at the gym: just get in there, just do it, just learn. And again, what works for me may not work for you, and may not work for Bob, may not work for Sarah, may not work for whoever. But the only way you will find out is by putting yourself in the fire and figuring out what works. There will be constants, again, like the whole warm-up thing and things like that. But everybody has their own mental triggers. Everybody will have their thing that they have to do to regulate themselves emotionally. But you only learn that by doing it. So.
Fab. Thank you for that, Mike. Now, we've just had a weekend. There are a few weekends before Saturday, the 28th of March, for Grapple Worlds 2 up at Kassam Stadium. But some of us really enjoy a NOGI Sunday.
Always.
Talk to us about your NOGI Sundays, Mike.
So we're very fortunate. One of the coaches at my gym, gentleman by named Chris Ong, Ongy, ONGY 84 on Instagram, very famous on Instagram for his jiu-jitsu illustrations. But he is a NOGI pervert. He loves his leg locks. So we have a leg lock specific class on a Sunday where we generally, I think yesterday we had 35, 40 people there. We get in, we do some leg lock specific stuff, and then we'll get into kind of some more positional stuff. And then we have, I think we normally do 4 to 5 rounds at the end of class, and then we break off into an hour or so open mat, generally walk out of there doing the better part of 10 rounds. And I think as we talked prior to coming on air, so to speak, is it either caps off your week that you've just had, or it just sets you up for what's about. It helps to manage the Monday scaries, doesn't it? Or the Sunday scaries, shall we say. So it's great that it's one of my highlights of the week. It's it's a session that I generally look forward to the most. So
I think all of us look forward to lots of different elements of jiu-jitsu, and NOGI. I'm a convert. I get too kind of roughed up with gi work. I was playing some Spider Guard, or learning Spider Guard a bit more yesterday. Tell me that you've been playing Spider Guard without telling me you've been playing Spider Guard. My knuckles were red. No bruises, but the knuckles were red, and I was like, oh my gosh. Love it. I'm not into MMA or like kickboxing or anything like that, but
it will kill your fingers. Yeah, it'll definitely kill your hands.
Love it. I'm a keyboard warrior in my professional life, so we've got to protect the fingers and the hands.
Absolutely.
So you're training out of RGA Marlow?
Yes.
And you've got quite an expanse of gym space.
Yes.
I was privileged to go to a jiu-jitsu camp over the weekend, and there was a lot of mat space, and I found myself just rolling around and feeling really free in NOGI and just taking up space. And I know when I've spoken with female athletes and competitors that sometimes some of us feel like taking up space is you know, we need to diminish ourselves. We need to kind of hide ourselves away and kind of, you know, keep small. But over the weekend, I personally felt quite free and that I had so much space. But RGA Marlow is a massive expanse of mats.
Yeah, it's a £1 million facility. We've got we had £1 million investment in the last 18 months, I think 2 years. We moved into the it's not a purpose-built facility, but it's an old print warehouse that we've moved into. We've got 3 matted areas. I forget the square footage, but it's expansive, shall we say. We've had, at one point, we had 60 plus people on our biggest mat rolling around, and we still can have room for another 30, 40 downstairs. So we're very, very fortunate. And yeah, don't get me wrong, we still joke about it now. Like when it gets really busy, we say to Paul Busby, the owner, like, oh, we need a bigger building. But
don't put him through more stress. Oh my goodness.
God bless Busby. His head's about to explode anyway, I think. So but yeah, jiu-jitsu gravity is a real thing. I think we've all experienced it. It doesn't matter how big your mats are. You could have the biggest mat in the world, but everybody just it ends up like magnetic coming together, don't you, rolling into each other. So
nice. Well, Mike, I wish you all the luck for Grapple Worlds to take up all that space. It'd be amazing to see you coming out of the blue corner and having a match up with Dom Ilbury coming out of the red corner on Saturday, the 28th of March. I am very excited. It will just be an incredible event.
I'm looking forward to it because Dom is one of the good guys on the circuit as far as I can make out. We met each other briefly at the British in November. Can't remember, was that Warwick? I think it was in Warwick, wasn't it? Yeah. Lovely guy to chat to, and everybody that I've spoken to that knows Dom says the same thing. He's one of the good guys. So, and that's what I like about jiu-jitsu. Don't get me wrong, law of averages, you're going to have some plonkers on the circuit. It's just what it is, but very few and far between. So looking forward to it. As I say, I make a joke, I've requested some up lighting rather than down lighting due to our matching ball domes.
We'll just make sure there's no up cameras. We don't need any nostril shots.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of skin on show, shall we say.
Love it. Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, how can people follow your journey? Get people to follow you on Instagram.
So yeah, very simply, I post a lot of shit on my Instagram. So if you're interested in shit memes and my jiu-jitsu journey, Mike Clarky Clark, no E on Clark, and my business page where I look at kind of strength and conditioning for martial artists is Grapple SNC. So yeah, by all means, drop me a follow. Anyone's got any questions, drop me a message. So
amazing. Links will be in the show notes. Thank you so much, Mike. See you very soon.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Tell your friends about this show. And thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the Grapple Worlds podcast.